Okay, we're going to have to ask Peter to come this way because the setup is that Peterborough can't see otherwise. So if you don't mind moving around there. So it's not ideal, but we're just going to keep working until we get it going.
Thank you.
We're here more or less. Around. Okay, we'll start because the cake sales are waiting. And I'm aware that otherwise people will start drifting down there before I can stop them. This is going to be quite a quick one. As I say, because of the way we set up and so Peterborough can see, if everyone can go this way, and then Peterborough can feel included, and we'll just keep working on where we do this setup. As rooms keep changing and boards keep coming up, it's getting kind of more and more opportunity to try different ways. Hey, Andy. Okay, as I say, this will be quite a quick one. I'm going to go through the leadership meeting we had yesterday, the fact there's quite a few visitors and things happening next week, and then a couple of other things, including the transformation board plans. So yesterday we had the IS leadership meeting. In case people aren't aware, that's basically the ISMB and their management group, and we meet every month or at least every other month, and Stephen Brown pulls it together, but people can come and talk. And if there's anyone here who'd like to come and do a session there or something, always welcome. The things we covered is Roland Coombs, and I should have said John Abbott joined us as well. It's quite nostalgic. It was Roland Coombs' last IS leadership group. So he spoke a bit about some of his experiences and his awareness. You know, now he's had his last EXB this week, last ISMB. Next Wednesday is his last day. One of the things he did there was, I don't know, anyone know about the broom? Looking around, people, yep, there's nodding head, the broom. The broom was passed over to Kevin. For people who don't know, the broom is passed from the person about to retire to the next person who is retiring. And I'm not going to take you through the history. It's a bit of a plug for Roland's blog that's coming out today because he's got all about it in there. So take that one there. John Abbott was there. He gave some of his background, where he's come from, etc. I don't know if people saw, he was sitting over there yesterday. He'll be coming back a lot more. We'll learn a lot more about him. He's very open, very up for change. A couple of interesting facts about him. He went to Plymouth University, beginning. So it's not a history to him here. That's, yeah, exactly. Whoa, he's got that. And he still codes for a hobby at weekends. So he truly is a techie who finds it really interesting and is into that arena. We then spoke about, obviously, Roland's replacement. Everyone's aware that Roland sent out an email that the permanent IT director was not appointed. So at the moment, they're going through a process to put an interim IT director in place. And that process is in place today as we talk. I think the closing date is today. And then he's hoping to look at it this week and next week. Just a tiny bit of trivia. An IT director is somebody who doesn't sit on the board. A director of is somebody who does sit on the board. So John is director of digital and sits on the board. John Peden, who I know is here today, is director of ops, sits on the board. Just so you are aware of that little finesse thing that has come in as we talk. We obviously spoke about privatisation. We haven't got any news again, but I'll just recap. It was in the budget, so we all know the will is still there. However, every week we expect the consultation to come out next week, and we're still there. We believe it's waiting to come out. A couple of questions, but we're still waiting for it to come out. So having had Roland and John talk and a bit of discussion, we moved on to the business plan. If you remember last year, what we did was we used the Magnificent 7 objectives that have been built from the floor here. I think I don't know if they're called the Nifty 9 or whatever, the 9 objectives from Ops were brought in. And that was brought together to make the IS business plan. What we did last IS leadership was go through it and say, how well do we think we achieved those objectives? How far we've gone? What do we think we should carry forward? And what new ones should we bring in? So yesterday we went through the 10 objectives we think will be for next year. We did breakout sessions where we said, how would we deliver them? What would stop us delivering them? And how would we measure we've delivered them? We're constantly aware, and I know the board are doing the same, we're not always good at the measurements that say, what do we mean and how do we do it? So we've had that session. Steve's bringing that together. People like Jane are helping, John Mudford, people are feeding in. And we're also feeding in the themes from the business strategy face-to-faces, so they can move in, feed into it as well. If anyone's interested in getting involved, talk to Jane for our group, if that's okay, Jane, because it's important we build those together so we can all understand how our objectives fit into that will fit into the land registries. Thinking about the next thing, just to check I don't miss anything. So yes, that's mainly about the business plan. The next thing we did was we also looked at the manager's handbook and the calendar. So anyone who hasn't noticed it, if you go into the front page of the Land Registry intranet, there's links to the manager's handbook and to the calendar. Have a look at them. If you're a manager, you need to look at them to ensure that you're keeping those standards and your objectives and think about what you're doing. There is nothing there that I think will surprise you. We should be doing it, but it's good to be laid out. And as somebody who's being managed, you should be looking at them, making sure, that's what you should expect from your manager. You have a right to. So if there are any blips or it's not happening, we can start solving that. We've got to start making sure we have that standard high across the board. I always keep checking to make sure I haven't actually missed a whole subject out as we go through this. Okay, so that's what happened at the leadership group. So it's where we're going next year. We're looking forward to now. And as I say, after Easter, when we have our next leadership group, it will be interesting because we'll have a new interim IT director. We've got our digital, our director of digital, who hopefully will visit quite often and will be in that new financial year. So what's happening next week? I thought it was worth going through. We've got quite a few people, and where we often have quite a few people, I know John Peden, in fact, here today with Simon Cairns. We had John Abbott yesterday. But it seems I say quite a lot. So next week, got John Abbott from Tuesday to Thursday here. That's again an opportunity. If you see him, he's very open. We've got the LRB and the EXB coming next Tuesday, Wednesday. The LRB is holding its LRB on Wednesday here in Seaton Court, because what they're doing is trying every other LRB to go to a different office. So to put that in context, potentially the whole LRB to be back here again is almost 2 years. So it's a good opportunity. They're here, they see the office, and the fact the EXB are there as well, is, to be honest, because it's Roland's leaving do, and they therefore have planned their visits to make sure they can make the most of that opportunity. The LRB, so what we're doing as Seaton Court is doing a joint ops and IS presentation. So 8:15 Workflow are doing a combined presentation for showing the business side, but also have a brief talk about Agile and how that teams work together. We are potentially getting a showcase if there's any opportunity for people to go and see that in the afternoon as well. But again, you'll see them walking around. It's good to know they're there. Recognise them. It's that chance. What else happening next week? Caroline is therefore say about they plan things to make sure it's a good time to come. Caroline on the Tuesday is doing a couple of people strategy sessions. Sue sent around a email about it, so if people want to go, it's good to hear it face to face. When we're having the business strategy face to face, you're now going back to the person who lives and breathes that strategy. So it's that opportunity to ask those questions about it. So what else? We've got the workflow, got the showcase. Women's Network next Wednesday afternoon. Katrina, who is one of our non-execs, Caroline, our HR director, Catherine, our finance director, and somebody from the environmental agency are going to be guest speakers or at this session or taking part. There's posters on the wall, and if people want to go, talk to Rachel. So that's an opportunity again. So I think I've covered my stuff next week, but could anyone think of anyone else visiting or something I've missed? And obviously it's Roland's last day, so that opportunity to say goodbye to Roland on Wednesday, which is the big thing. Next thing is the diversity declaration. Can I encourage you all to go into HR and look at the diversity declaration? You don't have to declare your diversity. I don't know if that's the right wording. You can say, I'd rather not say, but if you go in and acknowledge it, it means we know that people have consciously decided not to, opposed to a feeling that people just aren't interested or haven't done it. And it is important to even get that sense. If people don't want to say, you at least get a sense of, right, there's a feeling that, 50% of people would rather not say. I won't say how you translate it, but it gives something. So it's worth filling it in. It's all helpful so that we can understand our workforce. Final thing is about the transformation plan. I think you're all aware the transformation board, we've talked regularly about the new priority, they're not all new, but the priorities that will be from the 1st of April as we've described it. The groups of which will be working on them has been gone through with the RE1s. It's up on the wall down there on the right. Hopefully everyone's been talked to by their line manager. There's still bits of change happening, but the fact is those are the kind of teams we're expecting to be starting. Some teams will be starting bang on the 1st of April. Some I think are starting to transition already, like application inquirer, Kim are starting to move, and some may not be immediately on the 1st of April, maybe a few weeks later. The delivery managers are working on how that's going to work. Again, feel free to talk to your Scrum Master or the delivery managers if you're feeling a bit confused, but that's now in progress. I think that's all I've got. And Easter is coming, obviously, which is great as well. And I'll be able to eat chocolate again now. That's my big thing. So has anyone any questions? Okay, well, have a great Easter if I don't see you before. Thanks.